Tim Masters coming to you today with another ZEP Superior System solution. Today we want to do something a little different and talk to you and role play a sales presentation with a customer about our ZEP Dyna FB, product number 964101. Ed? Tim Masters, how are you doing, sir?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
Good, good. Ed, I want to talk to you today. I noticed that you had a parts washer back in back of your facility, and I'd like to talk to you today about currently what you're doing, how that's working out for you, and talk to you about what we've got is our Dyna FB. So I noticed in the back that you actually had what I typically refer to as a sink and basin type parts washer. That's the sink on the top, the drum down underneath. That's accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the other thing is, I'm assuming you're probably renting that unit?
I am.
Okay. And just want to just some information I want to ask you before I get into what our machine has, is that machine, typically, how often do they service your machine for you?
I think once a month.
Okay, so typically I see it around 4 to 6 weeks that they come in and change over the solvent. And I'm sure you're familiar and you've read all the fine print when it comes to the manifest. You recall signing, or one of your employees having to sign something before they take the solvent out of your facility?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And a lot of times, a lot of business owners, and I don't mean to insult any of your knowledge about it, but many owners don't realize basically what that is. And I typically just like to educate and let you know what you're actually signing. And many times, it's basically saying that you generated the solvent.
Yes.
They actually then, the rental companies have a milk route that they typically run. They go to multiple customers in a day, pick up various different containers and parts washers, their solvent, combine it all into the truck, get back to the shop, and then basically what they do is they distill it or they filter it, and then next time they come service, they bring you filtered solvent out. Does that sound about?
Yeah, they say they clean it, yes.
They say they clean it, that's right. Yeah. One thing, Ed, that I've noticed, and it's been publicized, is that solvent, as it's running around on your solvent, as it's running around on that milk route each day, have you ever thought about what happens if that vehicle gets into an accident and that solvent is dispersed all over the road in a bar ditch somewhere?
I haven't thought about it, but I can imagine they got to clean it up.
Right, they do. However, the big deal on that fine print of that manifest basically says that Ed still owns that solvent. So there's a environmental.
What do you mean Ed still owns the solvent?
I'm going to explain it to you, Ed. Basically there's a environmental law called cradle to grave, and basically what that means is that you created the solvent, and until that solvent has actually been tested, distilled, and cleaned, that's your solvent still. So you're still responsible for that cleanup of that solvent if something happened to it until it's actually deemed clean by their filtration system back at their facility. You've got to kind of got a puzzle.
So you're saying we're responsible?
Yes, sir.
If it spills? If
Yes.
they spill?
That's right. Because it's your hazardous waste that's on their truck. They're just doing a service for you, but they didn't create that solvent. You did. They brought you because the manifest, when they bring you the solvent, says it was clean, tested and clean. When it's picked up, have you ever seen them test it?
No.
No. They test it when they get back to their facility. And so that brings up another point. If you think about on their milk route, let's say they picked up 20 gallons from you, they made 10 customer stops, and they get back to the facility and they've got 200 gallons of solvent. That's when they test the solvent. So now if you think about that solvent, not only your 20, someone else's could have contaminated your solvent once it's all mixed into the large truck, the tank on their truck.
Yeah.
Now there's 200 gallons of solvent that they're going to then divide the cost of the hazardous waste disposal amongst the 10 customers that they picked up equally that day.
Holy. Okay.
Yeah, so let me tell you the big difference and about our Dyna system and how that works.
Before you go, is this going to be the same way with this?
It's a great question. Let me answer that for you. So let me step over here and start to tell you a little bit about the features and benefits of our machine versus your current program.
Okay.
So Ed, stepping over here, what I want to show you is that our filtration system, if you know, I mentioned earlier that basically they take your solvent back and filter it, right?
Yes.
The beauty of the Dyna brew is that everything that your current vendor does outside of your facility, we do inside. And if you think about hazardous waste is only when it leaves. You can have hazardous material, but it never is hazardous waste classified until it leaves your facility. Your solvent will never leave your facility by using the Dyna Brute system. And here's why. Number one, the filtration system, this is a particulate filter, kind of like an oil filter in your car. So this takes out metal shavings, anything like that, silicones, gasket material, anything that would be in the solvent as it comes through the filtration system. This is the first line of defense into the solvent that you've got right here. Next is our Dyna trap. This is actually down inside here. This is just a cutaway kind of what it looks like inside. This is a clay matter like a kitty litter, or for instance, like you use to sweep up spilled in your shop, to clean up and absorb oils and greases. That's exactly what happens here. So this is actually connected in line with the pump. You have a ball valve to turn this on. So when you get dirty solvent, you can just turn the ball valve, divert the solvent through the bag, and it will actually leach out of the bag. So it keeps all of your oils and greases inside the bag, leaching the clean solvent out of the bag. Down in the bottom of this, and we'll show you in just a minute, down in the bottom of this, we have another filtration system. It's basically the entire bottom size capacity of the machine that's a hog's hair filter. What that does is it keeps any debris or matter from getting into the pump and protecting the pump, but also acts as a filter and holds it down on the bottom so that it's not in your working solution. One of the big key factors to this is, if you noticed, as you start to get towards that 4 to 6 weeks when they were starting to come pick it up, the efficacy of your solvent was probably a lot less.
Yeah.
The longer you used it, as it's getting contaminated, it starts to be less and less effective.
Yes, yeah.
Here, your solvent stays clean 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You don't get those peaks and valleys that you find, and your guys in the shop waiting for that next drum to come. You have clean solvent around the clock, all the time.
So we don't have to add new solvent in there?
No, the only time, and I'm sure you've heard the term drag out. So if you've got for instance, a cylinder head, anything that has a lot of runners or venturis in it, and you're cleaning it out, if you guys don't shake it out or blow it out first, they typically want to just clean it and drag it out of the system, and so you get some drippage, we call it drag out, onto the floor. So typically most customers add about 5 gallons of solvent a year with this system.
Okay.
However, keep in mind, year one, when you order this system from us, you get 40 gallons of product. It holds 35 gallons. So you have your 5 gallons for the first year already basically included in here, unless your guys are just really not paying attention and dragging stuff out. There is some training that we need to do with this when we come set it up, and it's basically what they can. You don't want to be spraying product over the top of the machine, and so you get an extra 5 gallons of solvent. The other nice thing about this is that it's actually Freeboard certified. And basically what Freeboard is, an environmental VOC regulations. This is the only machine on the market that's actually marketed with a Freeboard certification, basically saying that the solvent with this top on it, your employees are not breathing this solvent on a regular basis, okay?
Okay.
The other nice thing you could see is, see if you can tump this machine over. You're not going to accidentally walk by and tump it over, right? That's one of the other issues. If you think about the sink in the basin, the top's bigger than the bottom.
It's top heavy.
That's right, it's very top heavy. The other thing is that you don't have the ability to be able to soak anything in it. So Ed, as I stated, this is something that I wanted to show you. As I mentioned, that you don't really have the ability to soak a part. And a lot of times employees want to sit and soak something for a while, go off, do another job. And so this system actually comes with a small parts tray that you can use. You've got a clean, nice work surface here. So as you can see, when you turn the system on, that your guys, that still drains down into the tank. They can work and clean here. You've got an attached brush that you can turn on. You've got both
Those
flows.
bristles?
These are
those bristles?
I don't know, you tell me. Yeah, just for washing and cleaning off parts. You can turn that off. Turn your spigot back on. Or, many times that you really don't have with the sink and basin option, you can remove the tray and actually soak almost a complete short block engine in here. This over here, if you notice, this is the bag that I showed you earlier. This is actually, can you see it sitting down inside there? That's the clay matter bag that actually absorbs all of your oils and greases. And then you've got a dry surface again to work from. Lastly,
would you be able to spray and use the brush with this table off?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Any configuration you want to be able to do that. And lastly, and one of the most important things, especially from an environmental concern, is that you've got a lead fusible link right here. You see that, the copper here?
Yes.
So should, for any reason, the solvent that we bring you has 143-degree flash point, so it's non-flammable, but it can be contaminated. Your guys or gals could come over and use a brake cleaner or something that's flammable inside the machine, and should that happen, and I've seen it before, but should that happen, it actually, and a fire started in here, the fusible link would sever and it would slam and suffocate the fire.
Wow.
So Ed, this is one of our Dyna Brute FB parts washers, 35-gallon, freeboard compliance, no more renting, no more hazardous manifest, very little annual usage. What most people find is that your annual usage of this machine equates to 1 month of your current rental fees.
Wow. So no more picking up?
No, sir.
And it's a lot cleaner and secure.
Ed,
Tim?
we'll get you one coming out today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.